Welcome to the Suwannee County Board of County Commissioner meeting for March 17th. At this time, I'd like to have Commissioner Fleming do the invocation, Commissioner Mobley do the pledge. If you'll stand, please.
Let us pray. Our Father, we come once again in your name, calling on your name. Thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us. Thank you for making a way. Father, we pray that you bless our country. Look over us, for we realize that you got powers in your hand, and we know that you're a healer and a deliverer. Oh God, bless these commissioners tonight. Help us to understand, help us to do your will, help us to make decisions that's right in your way and in your will. God, we love you. We thank you. Bless our families tonight. Look over these people that are in the community tonight. This we ask. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to approval of the minutes for the March 3rd, 2026 regular meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale. Second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Public concerns and comments. Mr. Broders, I got you up first.
My name is Keith Broders. I live at 970 Southwest Pine Mountain Road in Lake City, Florida. I am a retired school teacher, and my education didn't begin until after I retired. I'd gone to college and was programmed by the college and universities to deliver curriculum to students and teach them to memorize, regurgitate, to sit down, shut up, and do what they were told. And what I would like to spend a few minutes with you tonight on is a little bit about education. The government in the United States began with the 13 original colonies. Virginia started with something known as the House of Burgesses in 1619, and at that time, there were 11 separate plantations in Virginia at that time, and each of the plantations or settlements was entitled to 2 representatives. So there were a total of 22 members of the House of Delegates in Virginia in 1619. It was a unicameral legislature. They didn't have 2 separate houses. But in 1776, Virginia wrote its own constitution after the Declaration of Independence was signed, and they created a bicameral legislature, mimicking the legislature that they had in England, where they had a House of Lords and a House of Commons. The House of Delegates in Virginia had 2 representatives still to represent each of the settlements, or basically each of the counties, essentially. And then in 1776, they added something that they called the Senate. And the Senate consisted of 24 senatorial districts, which consisted of multiple counties. That's the way Florida was organized also. When we first became a state, every county had representation. And in the 1960s and before, there were 40 state senators here in Florida. And each county was represented. Well, in the 1960s, there were several different Supreme Court rulings that indicated the fact that all of the states in the United States were operating unconstitutionally because they all had senates that were based on county geography, not population. And so the Supreme Court ruled that they had a doctrine, they called it the doctrine of one person, one vote. And so they basically forced Florida to reapportion the state legislature. And as a result, today, I can't remember for sure, but I believe it turns out that Miami-Dade County has 6 senators for one county. And Suwannee County is one of 13 counties that share Corey Simon as our senator. So the representation is completely unbalanced. Alexander Hamilton one time said that if you give all of the power to the few, they will oppress the many. And if you give all the power to the many, they will oppress the few. And the reason we want to have a bicameral legislature here in Florida is because we want to have the ability of the small counties to be able to prevent the large counties from completely dominating them. And so I wanted to share that with you. I think that our schools are not teaching people that are things that are very important. And one of those things is that the counties need to be represented equally. The people who live in Leon County have a different agenda than the people who live in Suwannee County. So how can Corey Simon represent us and represent Leon County equally at the same time? He's going to represent the county that gives him the most votes. And so we are not being fairly and adequately represented. And I believe that it's very important that we change that. The last thing I want to say is that there's a principle called the winner-take-all method of allocating electoral votes. Well, as it turns out, LA City and LA County has 17 electoral votes. Can you imagine that? One county has more representatives, they have more electoral votes than 39 of the other states. So we've got a lot of problems in our country, and we cannot hold our government counties and we cannot hold our officials accountable unless we ourselves understand what they are doing wrong. So we need to educate ourselves. So I encourage all of you, start spending less time watching television and spend more time educating yourself on the principles of liberty and the original intent of our founding fathers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reuters. I'm going to suspend public comments just a minute. We got a time-specific item here we got to deal with. At 5:35 or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider the enactment of an ordinance authorizing the banning of burning or similar activities within Suwannee County, Florida, providing procedures for enforcement of a burn ban, providing procedures for repeal of a burn ban, and providing an effective date. Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier this year, it came to our attention as a board or as a county that we don't have a burn ban enacted. So all we have in the event of a serious drought conditions where burning could create a serious public safety hazard, we don't have the ability to ban burning when otherwise it may require it in the absence of an ordinance. So pursuant to that and in consultation with the chief, I drafted the proposed burn ban. And basically what it does is it authorizes the chief to declare a burn ban subject to the approval of the Board of County Commissioners at the next county commission meeting. It also gives the chief the ability to lift the burn ban, and that also would be subject to the permission of the Board of the County Commissioners. When it comes to the subject of enforcement, it's made a second-degree misdemeanor to knowingly violate the burn ban. That's based both upon Florida statutes, which has a similar M2 or second-degree misdemeanor provision regarding violating burn bans issued by the Department of Forestry. And by making it a knowingly situation, the burden would be to prove that the person who is setting the fire knows that there's a burn ban and is choosing to do it anyway. So functionally what that means is when we find out, if we were to find out somebody was burning, we go out there, tell them to put it out, and they will. And if they do it, basically they get one free one, and if they do it again, then you can prove the with knowledge part. But basically it gives us a mechanism to, when situations require it, to actually have a ban, not a mere suggestion, which is what exists right now. So if that's what the board wants to do, I've drafted that proposed ordinance. It's based upon an amalgamation of what some other counties who are of similar population have done.
Is there any questions for Mr. Morrison?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Commissioner.
I read over this, and after reading over this, I was thinking, they were talking about the drought in these areas, and I see fires around Suwannee County, and I was wondering, why are we not? After the recent rain that we just had, I don't know how whether ban's gonna be lifted And I would direct this question that I'm asking to the fire chief and to our council down there, Mr. Morrison.
So how it would work, Commissioner, is let's say before this, the burn ban had been in place, and so the way it would have worked is we have severe drought conditions in public safety. The conditions are in the decision or in the discretion of the fire chief that we should have a burn ban.
Okay.
So what would happen then is automatically that will come up at the next regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. The board has veto power over that and says, nope, we're not doing that. And if we're not doing that, then there is no burn ban.
Gotcha.
If the board says, okay, there's a burn ban, it remains in effect.
Okay.
And then we get a big rain, so the burn ban remains in effect. And then if we get a big rain like happened this weekend, and the chief thinks that the public safety issue is no longer present, he has the authority to unilaterally lift the burn ban. Publish it and say, we're lifting the burn ban. That would also automatically come up at the next meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, and the board could say, Chief, we disagree with you, we're going to leave the burn ban in place. So it gives him, so that way we're nimble and can move quickly as the public safety conditions require it. You want to have the chief have that authority, but ultimately, since everybody reports to you guys have the authority to say yay or nay to any changes of the status quo.
Okay.
So that's how that would work. So given those conditions, that's how that would have worked. So if Chief Miller had said, we're going to lift the burn ban, it would have been done on him saying the ban is lifted, subject to whether or not this board wants to veto that at the next regular scheduled meeting, which would have been this one, like after the rains this weekend.
That answer your question, Mr. Clough? Anybody else?
No, sir.
I think it answered pretty much what I had to ask too as well, so. Okay, at this time, I'll open the floor to public comment. Is anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Oh, Adam, will you swear him in, please?
Yes, sir.
yeah.
You swear affirm testimony you give in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your name for the record, please.
Steve Fontana, 21181, 144th Street, Live Oak, Florida. And I'm not taking a position for or against the burn ban, but I just have the question of what has changed in the county. That for years and years, you never had this ordinance before. Have we grown to a certain point that you're concerned that we're going to have forest fires? Have we had situations where things got out of control? I'm just asking the question. Is there data that supports why we need to have a new law, or can we still trust our people when we say, hey, stuff's pretty dry, don't have a fire, that under our own responsibility that we'll all be responsible and do the right thing? I don't know, is that...
Mr. Chairman, if I could, permission to answer? No, it's a good question. So what brought this about was earlier, I'd say probably 3 or 4 months now at this point, there was all of the Florida DEM put out a statement that says, hey, you have serious drought conditions in this area. You need to, those who can should prohibit burning. A lot of our surrounding counties did, which had a similar ordinance, enacted it. And then the question came to me of, hey, can we do that? And I'm like, not without an ordinance. And so then, do we have one? And so we looked it up and it's like, we don't. Hence, what our DEM issued was a don't burn suggestion, because that's all we could do. So that's what brought this about. It was just a situation where the Florida DEM brought it to our attention. And I take it's well taken about worrying about over-enforcement, hence the knowingly part of this enforcement. It should be hard to prosecute under this. It's simply to give the authority to make some teeth to it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moses Slipper. Some of my concerns was Mr. Steve there, he addressed, and I was wondering if the chief has data, statistics on the increase in neglect fires or what. I'm all about freedom and liberty and restricting. I'm feeling more and more since I've been in this county, more and more removal of our liberties. I mean, I can't be off the porch legally anymore, but you could send that drone out every morning. You could bust me every day. So I don't intentionally break the law, but you can make laws. Law books are already real thick. I don't want nobody's property burning, One ask I have is we trying to reduce the amount of, solid waste. My wife and I have an extra garbage can in the kitchen. We throw our burnables in one and trash in the other. And so, we could pile it up. If it went on and on and on, though, what we can do, well, I don't want to take it to landfill. So I think responsible adults, at least, could monitor with a water hose nearby. I'd even not have an objection that, monitored burn barrels with a fire extinguisher or a water hose within 30 feet or whatever, that'd be an exception is all. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chief, do you want to address any of that?
I'll just address that last bit about responsible adults and stuff like that. 3 weeks ago, burning in a pit, gentleman had a tractor, had a garden hose, 60 acres and a house burned down. So it's not that we don't trust people, or it's just usually when you have a burn ban like this, the conditions are so extreme and the fire moves so fast that even if you're standing there, you can't get it to stop. So, like I said, we were just going through paperwork and looking at ordinances and did we have the authority to do it? So that's what brought this about.
Mr. Chairman, if I could also add one thing. And I'm not trying to advocate, but one thing, I've litigated these cases, and the issue comes as not being the responsible person for around you, but when the conditions are this bad, what you can't control, when the ash goes up, that's still on fire. And if it comes down even a mile away, and that's, especially if it comes down on planted pines when it's really, really dry, and that's how you get, fire escaping. And in fact, if you look at because I've had to deal with this, even if you go and get a permit to burn, the fires will still get away from you, because of certain conditions at certain times. So it happens. And it's not through and that's doing it being licensed, as the chief pointed out, having the correct equipment nearby. It's just conditions are what they are.
Yeah, forestry still comes out, and you can still, even under a burn ban, you could request a permit from forestry. They'll still come out and do an inspection, and if they feel it's good, they give you a permit. They trump us on the authority of that. So, and it's not like it's just a willy-nilly thing. Like, there's things we take into consideration: the weather, the wind, the humidity, the KBDI index, the drought conditions. So,
Well, as long as and no offense, Chief, but one person having the say over that would disturb me. But
right.
Since it has to come back for the board for approval, I'm all right with that. And like you said, you got to go to forestry, and now they even come out and inspect what you're doing. Like I had to burn off hayfield, they had to come inspect it before I could burn it off.
They'll come out, they'll do an inspection, and so we get a report every day from forestry on the drought conditions and things like that. So
I guess that's what you use to monitor when to apply this.
That's it.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hill.
While Chief is up there, obviously we're talking about two things here. One, just putting some type of ordinance in place, but on the heels of that, and that's what we're voting on here tonight, but do you see, as council said, we just had a rain, are you foreseeing
The need
you're
for
going
one?
to come back to us and do this, immediately, or is this just having that mechanism in place?
I think we're going to start getting into the spring and the rainy season and stuff like that. I don't think there'll be a need for it. A lot of times what happens, the cold comes through, it kills everything, it dries out, and then it's brittle for a little bit. And if we don't get rain, like you saw, 2 months ago, then it gets pretty hairy. So,
And I just, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear too, when we're saying burning, we're talking about something that would be wood, trash, something like that, not your propane type.
yeah, it's like burning in pits, barrels, things like that,
Right.
outside.
Gotcha.
Yard debris.
Yeah, yard debris. Like Mr. Klepper was saying about the trash, hey, hold on to that for maybe a week or so till we can get some wetter weather,
Well, he apparently doesn't have my wife because Amazon shows up every day if you don't get rid of it pretty quick. You'll think you got a landfill.
Yeah.
I hope she's not watching.
They send me Christmas cards.
Anybody got any questions of the chief before we move on?
Good.
One other thing, if I may point it out, Mr. Chair. One of the things that is in here, too, to make sure, because I understand that people would be hesitant to give one person this kind of power. If you'll note in the definitions section, under F, fire hazard conditions, which have to exist prior to enactment of a burn ban, there is an objective standard, which is over 50% of the county has to have an average of 500 on the Keach-Byram Drought Index. So it's an objective standard, which is something that would have to be met before doing that. So that was the reason for putting it in there. So it can't be done if you have a chief who, not chief, our chief, but somebody who wanted to be a little, what I call petty power hungry, there would still have to meet that objective standard.
Anybody else for public comment? Thank you, Chief. This time I'll close public comment. Is there any further board discussion? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I'll now close this public hearing. Back to public concerns and comments. Was there any other public concerns and comments?
Still Moses Klepper. On the access to the agenda packets for the BOCC meetings, it's gotten kind of complicated to get in there. You got to sign on, got to have an account and all that. There should be, I mean, general public doesn't know that you got to do all that. And I guess it just seems like a hurdle, an unnecessary obstacle. There should be a link on there that you could go to agendas and just click on it and it opens up. Now I like the option of just the agenda packet, the plain agenda, simple agenda, or PDF or whatever. Those are good, but again, individual citizens shouldn't have to go through all those hurdles and create an account to see. So I think those that are in the know what I'm talking about. Item number 4 on the consent agenda, Project Newton. There's been some discussion. I have an issue. I understand. I don't necessarily totally agree with it, but it is what it is. But the public doesn't have access to the contract or to the agreement, even a redacted one. So we don't know what's in there. It's going to be passed before the public gets access to it. And it says in there, and I'm looking at it right now, says in there the average wage is $75,000 a year, but it says over there, I think number of employees right now is 4, and it promises up to 40 new employees. My question, nowhere, since we don't have access to that agreement or that contract, even a redacted one, that nowhere says that's going to be local people. They could be Californians or New Yorkers or Miami people, you know. So,
well, can I correct you on one thing
Please.
before you move on? That all that you see on the right is just a point scoring.
Point scoring.
So
Okay.
that 2 positions you see there
You said that.
is just a point. It's actually showing 40 net new positions.
All right. So, and of those 40, the average income will be 75.
That's what it says.
So the CEO is going to be like the Suwannee Valley Electric Co-op, and the CEO is going to make $500,000 a year, and possibly. Yeah, that's true numbers. For those of y'all worried about your light bill going up. Anyway, I'd appreciate future ones, even if they had to be redacted, that we get access to the information so those of us who want to read it have opportunity to do that. And I hope they do bring 40 new jobs, and that'll make sense to give them all that, tax abatement and free land and all that. Good, that's what the catalyst site's for. And on item number 7, kudos to the Public Works, Miss Brenda, hiring those prisoners. The prisoners going to love her and hopefully bring down the cost on labor in the county. I love seeing that reinstated. And kudos to item number 11, we the people of North Central Florida. Item number 11, the letter to the Suwannee River Water Management District. I love your last statement, Mr. County Attorney. Hubris isn't probably a common word that we all use, but we do understand them being arrogant and the audacity of them to want to put toxins into our water. Thank you for y'all voting for it and him writing it and y'all shipping that up to them. Let's real quick here, the change order on number 13, that's in general business, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and one last quick thing. I had it brought to my attention by more than one about the black cow fertilize out there in McAlpin area, that all that running off into our water, that's a concern. Admittedly, I don't know much about it. I tried searching them. They're not really easily searched, but especially those of y'all live out there, please y'all check into that. And if they're doing it, we need to fix something else. They've been in 2 other counties, and supposedly the flood run them off, maybe because of the same thing. But we don't need them, all that mess running into our water either. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public concerns or comments?
Steve Fontana, I think.
Mr. Steve, did you have a sheet? Steve Fontana? To speak, did you already?
No, I was just handing that up for Keith.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Moving on to item number 2, proclamations and presentations. Presentation of a proclamation recognizing the month of April as Emotional Support Animal Awareness Month. Ashley Comby, founder and president. Positive. I'll get it here in a minute. Change National Foundation Incorporated.
You're from Brantford. You struggle with that.
Hey, I never claimed to be the sharpest knife in the
It's a
drawer.
Gator fan there for you.
Well, hi, my name is Ashley Cumby. I'm a junior at Brantford High School. My name is Ashley
There
Cumby.
you go.
Foot in my mouth. Foot in my mouth.
That's great.
Good
Well
job.
done. Well done.
She's pretty quick on her feet, too.
Yeah.
I'm the founder and president of Positive Change National Foundation, Inc., my nonprofit, as well as Miss Northeast Florida's team. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here to respectfully request that you consider recognizing April as Emotional Support Awareness Month in Suwannee County. This is not just something I advocate for, but it's something that has truly shaped my life. When I was younger, I experienced profound loss over the years. One of the most difficult losses I experienced was witnessing the passing of my best friend's little brother, Jackson Roberts, in an ATV accident. At that age, I didn't fully understand how to process that kind of grief. 2 months later, my family brought home a dog named Bentley, and in so many ways, he changed everything for me. Bentley became more than a pet, but my comfort, my sense of stability, and my safe place during moments when the world felt overwhelming. Research shows that emotional support animals can help reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress by lowering cortisol levels and increasing feelings of safety and companionship, and I can personally say that I felt every bit of that impact. Since then, Bentley's been by my side through some of the hardest moments of my life, including the loss of my papa and most recently my close friend Chloe Krigall. In each season of grief, he has been a constant source of comfort when words simply weren't enough. Because of that, I knew I wanted to turn my pain into purpose, and I founded Positive Change National Foundation, Inc., to bring comfort to emotional support to children facing mental challenges and living in difficult life circumstances. Through this organization, I host stuffed animal adoption events for children unable to own their own pets, provide hospital care bags, and partner with incredible organizations in our community to ensure children feel seen, supported, and less alone. As a part of that mission, I wrote my children's book titled Bentley Makes It Better, which helps young children understand that it's okay to feel big emotions and that comfort can come in many forms, including through animals like Bentley. Emotional Support Awareness Month would not only recognize the impact of animals like Bentley have had on individuals like me, but it would also help educate our community, reduce the stigma surrounding mental health, and encourage families to seek out healthy forms of support. Studies show that children who interact with support animals often experience improved emotional regulation, decreased feelings of loneliness, and increased overall well-being. Many of these animals serve as a bridge to their healing. By recognizing the month of April, Suwannee County would be taking an important step in promoting compassion, awareness, and mental wellness, while also creating a meaningful connection leading into Mental Health Awareness Month in May. It would be an incredible honor to work alongside you to make this proclamation a reality and continue spreading awareness for children and families needing it most. I'll now read the actual proclamation. Recognizing April as Emotional Support Awareness Month in Suwannee County. Whereas emotional well-being is an essential part of overall health for children, families, and individuals through Suwannee County, and whereas emotional support animals, ESAs, provide comfort, companionship, and a sense of security to individuals experiencing emotional, psychological, or medical challenges, and whereas emotional support animals can help reduce feelings of anxiety, loneliness, stress, and depression while promoting emotional regulation and resilience, and whereas increasing awareness and understanding of the positive role emotional support animals play can help reduce stigma surrounding mental health and encourage individuals and families to seek support when needed. And whereas local youth advocate Ashley Cumby, founder and president of Positive Change National Foundation, Inc., and Miss Northeast Florida's Teen, has worked to promote emotional wellness for children through community outreach, hospital care bags, and educational efforts and partnerships with mental health organizations. And whereas recognizing Emotional Support Awareness Month in April provides an opportunity to highlight connection between emotional support, compassion, and mental health, while also leading into May, which is nationally recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Suwannee County Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize April as Emotional Support Awareness Month in Suwannee County and encourages residents, schools, healthcare providers, and community organizations to learn more about the emotional benefits of support animals and to promote kindness, understanding, and mental wellness for all.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Love it.
Board, is there any discussion, or can I get a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Had you, Mr. Hale?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Very good.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, y'all want to get out?
Yeah,
for a picture?
let's do a picture.
I didn't mean that about Brantford.
I'm letting social now.
He gives me shit all the time. I'm just trying to poke at him. Put her in the middle.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
Oh, my mom is talking in. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all coming. And y'all don't have to stay for the whole meeting, so
Thank you.
you don't want to stay.
I wasn't going over there. Yeah, you're mine. I trust appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So, has it got plenty of pictures?
We got a lot of pictures.
Did she want to mention while she's up here how someone can contact her organization or be
Yeah.
part of that?
Yeah, I'm on social media, Ashley Cumby on social media. You can purchase my book on Amazon. It just Bentley Makes It Better. You can contact me through social media, Instagram, it's Miss Northeast Florida's Teen, or Ashley Cumby. You can pretty much find me on any platform. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Ashley, one thing before you go, in case you get famous, will you sign it?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Looks like she's headed there.
She needs to come every meeting. She's the best looking of all of them.
I won't disagree, Mr. Bowden.
I'm glad she read all the whereas, because Franco would have met.
I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, you may want to hire her to come read for you. She's pretty
Can
quick.
you show up every other Tuesday?
Hey, goodness.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any discussion, or do I have a motion to approve?
Offer a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Constitutional officers. Staff items. Chief Miller, you had something?
Hello again. I actually have two. They're kind of small. So a few meetings ago, we approved the resolution for the COPCNs, the Certificate of Public Necessity and Convenience for ambulance transports and interfacility transports. Shortly after that, we got our first application from Columbia EMS. I processed their application, processed their check, and then in doing so last week, filling out all the paperwork and about to finalize it and hand it over, I actually spoke with Eric, and he had a couple questions about some stuff, so I brought it up to the attorney, and it seems like we're going to need to, from now on, put all of those on the agenda item for y'all to approve. So instead of making Columbia EMS wait another 2 weeks, I was hoping that we could maybe approve this one now, and then in the future, the rest will go through. And I know, I think Adam might have some more to add to that, or was that pretty
No,
much it?
that was it. I mean,
Okay.
you can read it if you want to, just so the board, or just so that way the public understands what's going on, so nobody thinks we're trying to hide.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read this one if you want. So it's, whereas Columbia Emergency Services has requested authorization to provide non-emergency medical and transportation services that originate within Suwannee County, and whereas Columbia Emergency Services has demonstrated and county concurs that there is a need to provide these essential services to the residents of Suwannee County, and whereas Columbia Emergency Services affirms that it will maintain compliance with the requirements of the Emergency Medical Services Act, Chapter 401 Florida Statute, and rules, Chapter 64J, Florida Administrative Code, and Suwannee County Code of Ordinances, and whereas whereas Columbia Emergency Services has indicated it does not desire to conflict with current level of pre-hospital emergency services being provided by Suwannee County Fire Rescue. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Suwannee County hereby issues a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Columbia Emergency Services to provide non-emergency medical services subject to the following conditions and limitations herein. Columbia Emergency Services will provide scheduled and non-scheduled emergency, non-emergency ambulance transports from licensed general hospitals, freestanding ERs. Columbia Emergency Services will provide for non-emergency, non-911 ambulance transports originating from licensed nursing homes and assisted living facilities. Columbia Emergency Services will provide emergency interfacility ambulance transportation originating from licensed general hospitals or freestanding ERs. No reference to Suwannee County shall be permitted on either the vehicles or the employees. Failure of Columbia Emergency Services to fully comply with any of the terms, conditions, limitations, provisions contained herein may result in immediate suspension, termination, or revocation of this certificate by the Board of County Commissioners. The certificate will be renewed annually, signed by the board chairman and attest. So Basically, what this is we have the freestanding here, and when a patient needs to be transported from that hospital to another hospital for whatever reason, they call an ambulance company to come do that. So this allows them, and if you're one of them companies operating in our county, you have to have one of these to get your license. So,
Any questions, board?
Mr. Chairman.
Elaine?
Chief, Columbia Emergency Services, that's a private company?
yes.
Okay. I just wanted that for clarification. It's not.
Yes, it has nothing to do with Columbia County.
Correct.
It is Columbia Emergency, private company.
Any other board questions? Since it wasn't on the agenda, I'm going to give the public a
Yep.
chance to ask any questions. If y'all have any questions, does anybody have any questions? Is this something that we need to vote on here?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep. Again.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Did you say you had two things?
One more, yeah. I don't know, Adam, do we need the memorandum between us and the sheriff for the
Yeah,
trucks?
so the board has all authority to enter into agreements, but the board can delegate certain things. So one of the things that the sheriff's office and the fire department are working on is a memorandum of understanding about how to handle sharps, needles that are going to be put at various places throughout the public, and how the both the EMS side and the sheriff's office side is supposed to handle those, to do so in a way that makes sense safety-wise for both organizations. And I would just ask the board if it could to delegate that authority to the chief, so that way he can go ahead and enter into those agreements and keep it nimble in case it needs to change. Like, we're going to put one like at a different, if we wanted to put one at a different fire station, or put one at a different place in the public, or however that needs to be done. And to me, that just made more sense if that was an authority that could be delegated to the chief. So basically, I'm asking if it would make sense. I thought it would make sense if the board could delegate to the chief the authority to enter into any memorandum of understanding with the sheriff's office regarding safety issues, regarding what's the best way to phrase it, Chief?
Like this one was a safety issue because you have deputies who mess with, they in law enforcement, they have needles and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that they're handling correctly, safely, holding them, disposing them, transporting them. So when we started discussing that and talking about that, we came up with, we should probably have something between the two departments.
So rather than having it be so broad as safety, because I think the board of county commissioners wants to be involved with that, I think for these purposes, if we could make it to handling medical waste,
There you go.
and then that'll limit it.
So let me get this straight. It'd be a memorandum of understanding between you and the sheriff's department?
Yes, signed by the sheriff and signed by myself.
For what reason now, Attorney?
So that way there's a written understanding between the sheriff's office and EMS about how they're going to handle this sort of medical waste, sharp. So if you're cleaning up needles, there's those needle disposal things, that sort of
But
thing.
I get that. But are we just approving this one thing? Or
No,
is it-
you're delegating, you're going to delegate the authority to enter into those types of agreements to the fire chief, so that way he can go ahead and enter into them. And because he's got that authority, that'll be ongoing. So if there needs to be changes, that can be done quickly, rather than have to put it off and come to the board.
Well, should something arise out of that that's not kosher, or there's a disagreement later on after that's been proposed, does the board have the ability to go back and undo that?
The board can always revoke authority, and the board can always, every agreement has we reserve the right to terminate this clause.
Okay.
So,
Just want to make it clear.
Yep. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lane.
So, Fire Chief, you're talking about like your guys, the deputies come in contact with, you say sharps, medical
like
needles or
and stuff.
scalpels or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's, I guess, a proper procedure and proper drop-off points within y'all's two organizations on where those are collected and disposed of. That what we're talking about?
Right. So you've seen, what a sharps container is, right?
Yes.
So a legit sharps container, not just a water bottle. So like we'll give them the sharps containers. When they're full, they'll give them back to us. We'll take them back. We'll get them disposed of through our company that disposes of them, in exchange with clean containers, things like that.
Just a safety protocol type thing for y'all to work
Yeah.
together and getting that handled.
Pretty much. And, I like to have things in writing, so we got it in writing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm good with delegating the chief to work with the sheriff's office on. So
Do you need a vote on this?
yeah, so it'd be a motion to approve a delegation of authority to the chief to enter into agreements with the sheriff's office regarding the handling of, how about this? We'll limit it right now to sharps and related safety issues, sharp disposal, and then that can come back later if it needs to be amended.
With that, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Fleming.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Commissioner items.
I don't have anything.
County attorney items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could first start with my agenda item, which is the letter you all asked me to write to the Suwannee River Water Management District. I don't have anything to say beyond the text of the proposed letter that I wrote on y'all's behalf.
Do you need approval to send that out?
Yes, sir, and I believe I spoke with everybody, and everybody was, with all of you, and y'all were okay with signing it individually, and so the letter was written in that fashion. But yes, since it's an action on behalf of the board, we also need a vote to send it.
Do I have a motion? Okay, I can do that. To Mr. Hugh Thomas, Executive Director, Suwannee River Water Management District, Live Oak, Florida. Reason, Suwannee County's objection to Water First North Florida project. Dear Mr. Thomas, as a unanimous board, we are writing to you individually as county commissioners and on behalf of all the citizens of Suwannee County to voice our strong objection to proceeding with the Water First North Florida project. We agree that the Floridan aquifer needs to be able to provide adequate water for our citizens, farmers, and tourists. We all recognize that the aquifer sustains the people and economy of North Florida and beyond. Water First North Florida proposes to transfer 40 million gallons of treated wastewater from Jacksonville into the aquifer. You assert that this method has been proven at the Sweetwater Wetlands Project and Black Creek Water Resource Development. That is simply not true, as both of those projects use wetlands to cleanse runoff, not chemically treated water. To be blunt, those projects are not receiving sewer water like you are planning to use for Water First North Florida project. Even if they were similar projects, the difference in scale compared to Water First North Florida negates any reasonable comparison. When your representative was asked questions about the safety of the treated water, he kept saying he was not a scientist, so he could not answer any questions. But we should simply trust that the water will be safe. That is not a risk North Florida can afford to take. Once the spigot is turned on, it is impossible to predict the consequences, which will impact literally every person in the area. Our citizens should not suffer the consequences of such hubris. And it will be signed by all commissioners. So with that, do I have a motion to approve sending the letter to the Water Management District?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mobley.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on. When I came in, you guys saw a copy of what's called the severance agreement, which got to us after agenda time at the end of last week. All that is that's with Project Newton. We voted on the economic development agreement earlier today. And what that does is this is the same company that, if you remember last meeting, we entered into a land use agreement with, where basically we said before entering into the economic development agreement, which we entered into today, you guys can put your property on, your personal property on there, and so long as you agree to hold us harmless, et cetera. The bank, which is loaning Project Newton money, is treating that agreement as basically like a commercial lease. And in the context of a commercial lease, if somebody doesn't pay their rent, you have a first priority lien over any personal property that is left on the premises. So essentially what this is, it's called a severance agreement. It's severing any right we have to claim title to any of the personal property that would belong to Project Newton. but it's not a commercial lease, so it really doesn't matter. So it's to make the bank feel better, who's lending Project Newton money. So I said I didn't think it'd be a problem, because we were never asserting any right over that anyway, and we were never charging them rent. So it really has no applicability to the use in this case.
Just a formality.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, board?
No, sir.
Can I get a motion to approve the severance agreement?
So
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Eric, there was a redacted copy that you found on your computer. That's for the public record.
All right, thank you.
The next thing is, I should have brought it up last meeting, and I didn't. I forgot to. If the board will recall, several months ago now, the board authorized me to send a letter and assert the county's rights regarding a clawback provision for a piece of property in the Catalyst site, which had that clawback provision basically said, if you guys don't start building within X period of time, the county can claim a right to go and get that property back. The board voted, authorized me to move forward with trying to enforce our rights as to that. So we wrote the letter. It's been kind of plodding along, but it got to the point where the party that has it now, so what happened to that parcel was it was foreclosed on, and it's not a bank, but it's basically an investment person, a person who was lending that money as an investment through his personal trust, foreclosed on it. So he is now the owner of that property. And when he lent the money, it was straight as could be, plain as day as could be in that deed that it's subject to the county's right to claw it back. He was on the verge of selling that parcel. I had been contacted several times by realtors saying, you guys aren't going to really enforce that, are you? And I was like, yes, we are. And I got a notice that said that they were going to move forward with the sale and just risk the lawsuit. For strategy reasons, I needed that lawsuit filed before they sold it, because nobody's going to feel bad for the bank suffering the consequences of its own poor loan decision, whereas that may be different if we now have a third-party buyer, if that makes sense. So I contacted the chairman as well as the county administrator, let them know the situation and that I needed to file this right now, to file what's called a notice of lis pendens, which locks down the property and says you cannot sell it without subjecting it to exactly the status quo as it exists right now. So literally, if they were to have sold the property, which they have not, the lis pendens was effective in stopping them, the person who bought it can't even come to court and talk, because you're subject to that notice of lis pendens. So because it's such a strong mechanism, I needed to act quickly. I did get permission from the chair, but I wanted to bring that to the board after the fact, and I am asking for after the fact approval, but given the circumstances, that's why I moved on it as quickly as I did. So I'm just asking the board to approve me proceeding with prosecuting that lawsuit. I think I already had that permission, given the fact that the board authorized me to invoke our rights as to it, but I'd rather err on the side of having unequivocal authority than not. So, but that's the status, but both the chair and the county administrator were aware of it prior to me filing, due to the urgency of the situation.
Any questions of the attorney?
No, sir.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Fleming, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last thing, and I want to end on something really heartening. About probably 18 months ago, I think Commissioner Land was chairman at the time. He put me in touch with, y'all may recall, an anonymous, a person who wanted to donate some money to the county but remain anonymous. And he wanted to do it after he died, and he had a rather significant bank account or stock portfolio, and he wanted to make the county a beneficiary of those funds after he passed away. He called me today, and we just happened to have the meeting today, so I wanted to bring it up today because he's not doing as well as he used to. His mind is still sharp as could be. He called me and asked, and he said, I don't need this money. That's why I was going to give it to the county anyway. My children don't need it. My wife doesn't need it. They're blessed to be in the financial situation that they are. He wishes to remain anonymous. but he wanted to ask if we could go ahead and accept that donation now. And I told him, I don't think there'd be a problem with us saying yes to receiving that particular donation. So the first thing would be asking the board to authorize the county administrator or his designee to accept that on behalf of the county. I'm referring to that person as anonymous for purposes of being up here. That's his wishes. You know, whoever's listening to this, please don't be mean under 119. Right, because that's not fair to that person. But the other thing that he said in terms of the use of the money, so I'm asking for two things. One, a motion to authorize the county administrator or designee to accept it. And then the second thing would be to segregate those funds, because what he said, what he wanted the monies to be used for is he didn't want to, you know, sometimes when people donate to a charity or to a government, they'll have them earmarked for certain projects, right? I want you to build a building or whatever and name it after me. He wants to be anonymous and he doesn't want to lock the counties in any way. He wants the county to use it in the way the county feels is best. And he said, for the people of Suwannee County. If we simply were to accept the money, it would just go into general revenue. And so what I'd ask the board to do is tell Keith and tell the county administrator to segregate those funds, so it would go into a different pot of money that would be unto itself. And certainly while that donor is still alive, and I would ask Mr. Furry or whoever his designee ends up being to have a real long conversation with the donor. What do you envision this being used for? And again, he's not looking for an agreement, but let's keep those funds segregated and try to use those in a manner consistent with what he's trying to accomplish. Because again, if we don't segregate those funds, it would just be tossed into GR and it would just be more money in the reserve. So he wants to use it for the people of the county, and that's the only mechanism of doing it is by segregating those funds from the get-go. I hope that makes sense.
So we just need to set up an account for District 5. Is that where the funds go? Is that how that
Yes,
works? Sir. I am the chairman, ain't I? I get to make that choice, no?
I think I initiated this conversation, so if anything, it's
You're
gonna-
out.
He said for the county, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
Mr. Morrison, I would like for whoever we designate just to ask, I mean, I know who the gentleman is, but to ask, but I haven't spoken to him in months. But if you would, ask him again how important the anonymous part is, because it would be really convenient for us to have that line item in our budget named XYZ improvement fund or whatnot for whatever purposes it may be. And I may call him again myself and just kind of ask him. But if you talk to him before I do, I would ask you to say, hey, like, is it like that? It is a very, very, very generous donation, and I just feel like I guess I feel guilty. Like I would like to acknowledge that gift and that legacy that he's about to leave.
One thing I'll say, which has been true from the beginning since you had me get in touch with him, Commissioner, truly humble. He's been in Suwannee County his whole life. He credits Suwannee County with getting him to the point where he could live a life where he was able to do something like this. And I did ask him multiple times about the anonymity, and I explained to him with 119, there's some things I cannot guarantee. But he understands that, again, asking the public not to invade that. But it was brought up multiple times by me today, but I understand your point, and I think it'd be a wonderful thing to do on his behalf. But if he wants to remain anonymous, I'm certainly not going to be the one to take that away from him.
I understand.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hale.
I'll just add to what I think's being said here. I mean, I think it's wonderful that someone wants to do that, but I would love for that person, maybe if they could give us a little more clarity as to what their vision would be as for the community. When he says for the community, whether it be for the kids or whether it be for, I don't know. I don't, you see what I'm saying? I don't mind us accepting the money on his behalf, but I just want to make sure whatever his intentions and wishes are that we uphold that.
Yeah, I think
see that through.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I've spoken to him at length multiple times
Okay.
over the last 18 months. He's passionate about certain age groups,
Okay,
elderly and young.
okay.
Maybe that whoever we designate to talk to him, maybe he can shed a little more light on, is it veterans or is it
Yep.
the youth and
That's right.
parks and ball fields or something like that. So maybe we could get a little more direction on
He-
some age group.
And again, a compliment to him is he understands when giving money and putting strings on a government that the problems that creates. So he was very firm about not wanting to do anything that formal.
Right.
So
Really generous person, very intelligent. I mean, I'm humbled that he's doing this.
So you need two motions,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, the first
One
is-
to accept the donation.
and to authorize the county administrator or his designee to accept it on the county's behalf. And then the second, to segregate the funds and to use them in a manner consistent with the wishes of the donor.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the county administrator or designee to accept the funds on our behalf.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
my second motion would be to absolutely segregate those funds, and I'm not sure what you name those or what they're named, anonymous gifter or whatnot, but anonymous gifter designated for District 3, something like that. But anyway, I move that we absolutely segregate those funds by themselves in a line item in our budget.
Motion by Commissioner Land.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
excuse me.
and add to that, to be used in a manner consistent with
Yes.
the wishes of the donor. We need
Yes.
to have that at the front end.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. And would you please send along our gratitude for that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, that completes everything that I have today.
Okay, moving on to general business. Item number 12, discuss with possible board action the award of 2 demolition replacement homes in relation to CDBG-HR Grant 23DB-H12 to the lowest qualified respondent. David Fox, Fred Fox Enterprises. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. Thank you. Good evening. I'm David Fox with Fred Fox Enterprise. Thank you for letting me present to you tonight. We bid out the first group of homes, which included 2 homes under your Community Development Block Grant in the Housing Rehabilitation category. I'd like to present these one at a time and to have a motion on each separately, because they're separate contracts. The first is for the home at 3249 161st Road, Live Oak. This is a demolition of an existing mobile home and the construction of a new concrete block, 900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. The low qualified bidder is Jeff White Construction. The low bid amount is $157,500. The bid includes the existing home demolition of $10,000 and the new home construction of $147,500. It was within 15% of our cost estimate. As part of the recommendation, we're requesting approval for the BCC chairman to sign the site-specific environmental package. Under each of these programs for CDBG, you have to do a environmental process review. And then under housing, you have to do a project-wide environmental review and then a site-specific environmental review. So this would be you've already finished the city or the county-wide. This would be for the house-specific for that address approval, which we should have done in about 2 weeks. Contingent upon in the recommendation for award is that the award is contingent upon Florida Commerce Site-Specific Environmental Review approval, them approving the review, and that in your housing assistance plan for CDBG, you have a maximum house price of $115,000. That was just an estimate at the time when you applied 2 years ago. But this will exceed that. We are recommending that you make your award understanding that you are going to exceed $115,000 and the amount will be $157,500. That's from recommendation for house number 1.
Do you want to just take them one at a time?
Yes, sir, please.
So, any questions of the board first? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Fox.
Home number 2 is 9903 134th Terrace, Live Oak, Florida. Once again, the low bidder was Jeff White Construction. The low bid amount was $158,000. We are recommending the award of demolition new home construction. Once again, it's a concrete block home. The new home will be a concrete block, 900 square foot on slab, and the existing home was a frame home that will be demolished as part of the project. The bid breakout is $158,000. Sorry. Yeah, the bid includes the demolition of $11,500 and the new home construction of $146,500. It was within 15% of our cost estimate. Recommendation includes approval for the BCC chairman to sign the site-specific environmental review for 9903 134th Terrace. That the award is contingent upon Florida Commerce and site-specific environmental release approval, the demolition and construction of the new home, and that the BCC understands and approves the low bid amount exceeding the HAP maximum of $115,000.
Any questions, board? Do I have a motion to approve 9903 134th Terrace? That'd be agenda item 2 there.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have.
That's all you
tonight.
have?
The only other thing is going down the list, we're just going to keep going down the names until we run out of money. The county or the state wanted us to de-obligate funds, but I'm going to try to get everybody that we at least applied down the list before we look at any kind of de-obligation of funds we didn't utilize.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You too. Thank you. Item number 13, discuss with possible board action a change order associated with the Catalyst Industrial Park wastewater treatment plan design. Mr. Bailey, North Florida Professional Services, sorry.
Good evening. We're here tonight. This team, NFPS and Barge Solutions, has been working on the wastewater system out at the Catalyst site. When we got our contract originally, we provided the county a 36-month schedule to get the thing done. We started work on it in early 2025. That's whenever the contracts were approved by the county. Within a couple of months after starting the work, we were told, the county was told by the funding agency that they had to cut the time down. So we were told then that we had to take a year off of it, so cut it down to basically 24 months. And then a few months after that, we were told we had to cut it again, and that the project had to be complete by August of 2026. All those changes impacted the design effort, the permitting effort, and all that. Our team got bids out. The county did request bids in trying to meet that August date. Those bids came in. The county only got a single bid because of the reduced time frame. The contractors were concerned about that. That bid came in at $17 million. At that time, the county rejected that bid. Barge reworked everything again to try to get those costs down, and those costs have come back to you now with multiple bids at $13 million. So all that work has impacted the effort. Everybody has been working hard trying to make the county get the county to hit that goal line at the end, and it's impacted Barge's efforts in doing that. So I'm going to let Kevin and Tony come up and explain in more detail how all that impacted them as far as their work.
Thank you, Kevin Canoy. I'm Vice President of Barge Design Solutions. And number one, I want to thank you for allowing us to work on this great project. It's a great project for economic development in the county and in the area. I'm here with Tony Peters, Project Manager. We're here to answer any questions you have about the requested change order.
Do you want us to just fire away, or does he want to speak?
No, you can fire away as far as I'm concerned. That'd be probably the easiest way.
Well, I sat in a meeting on this already, so I'm aware of it, and I get it was, first, let me just be clear. The only sole bid we had the first go-around was 17 million. The bid we got now is 13 million, is that correct? And that is a complete plant just like you designed it the first time, is it not?
That's correct.
So it's got everything that we asked for in the original bid?
That's correct.
Okay. I see a list here of costs of what you had to do, and I understand why you had to do them, but I don't see any hours. I don't see it broke down as to why you're asking for this kind of money. All I see is a flat rate for each thing, and I'm not saying you didn't do it, but for the public's sake, I think we ought to know how much time was put into it.
Yeah, we have the breakdown for all the hours we put in there, and this is a significant cut.
Sorry.
After we requested the additional compensation, we have sharpened our pencils significantly after that to meet what we thought was a reasonable amount for the county. The breakdown you see in front of you, I believe it was included in your packet. I listed all the people that have worked on those changes and how many hours they spend on there, and that is not even all the hours, of course, and also not including the billable rates, because that would unnecessarily just complicate the matter.
So just for clarity, when you originally done this, you had a price for doing it in the beginning.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And then all the changes came about, a new bid. We were going to take some stuff out to try to make it less. Then we decided to put it back, and we bid it. If I'm remembering correctly, we bid it as one complete thing, and then we bid it as without this or without that, 2 or 3 things.
We did the original bid. The original bid included everything. You were correct in that. After we got the bid from the contractor, we felt it was unreasonably high, so we started negotiating with the contractor. And in the process of negotiating with the contractor, the first thing we do is, okay, what did you see in this project that made this bid so high? So we identified it all and identified all those friction points, and then we found ways to mitigate that risk. One was the project schedule. At the time, the grant stipulation was you need to have a complete operating plan by August of this year. Mr. Furry, I believe, negotiated with the grant agency to where we can get the language changed. We still need to have it done by August for the amount of money that's going to be donated by that grant agency. That is not changing, and that's still ongoing right now. We've received all the submittals for the MBR equipment and the pre-procurement packages. All that work is still ongoing, and we're still making sure that you can meet those commitments. We don't want to lose the money. Also, with the contract, it's going to be the next item on your agenda. If you approve it today, we're going to go to Music, it's the low bidder on the second bid, and immediately start working on his schedule to make sure that he can burn the money, make sure he puts in the work, so we can get reimbursed by the grant agency by August. All that work has been on, we have not stopped ever since the first bid. After we negotiated with the contract on the first bid, we got the money amount down, but in our negotiations, we got to give up stuff to get something. And we felt like we gave up way too much, therefore our recommendation to you was to rebid. During our rebid, we took all the lessons learned we got from the original bid, put that into our second bid, and came up with a lot of deductive alternates to make sure that the contractor was pricing out the work as we proposed it. We ended up adding 22 sheets to the project. It's a 200-sheet project right now, a lot of details. That work was not foreseen or unforeseeable during the original contract that we had with the county. And I can go by the items here, what we're asking for. We're not necessarily even asking for the expedited schedule, although we had to throw the kitchen sink at it. We had to work in parallel tracks where normally we design A, B, C, D, E, F. Now we go from A to C to E and then come back to reconcile everything else that the other guy was supposed to be doing. That just increased our burden on the design. That was basically just a scheduling issue. So we feel very justified on the amount of money we're asking for. It's work we're doing and still doing. And we really want to meet the commitments that the county has to the grant agencies and get this project going. We also designed a very reliable treatment process that's been discussed. And we feel like the problems that, for example, your neighbor has in the startup of the plants, that those have been mitigated in our current design. So the county should be spending less money operating this plant when we're done at a higher quality water. So if you have reuse customers coming along, then they could be served too.
Well, I don't want to hog it up. Board, do y'all have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hale?
I do remember, I met with you guys, I think, at some point in time as well. And I did hear, I think Mr. Bailey mentioned we had 2 timeline changes. So I can understand that puts some extra pressure on you, but, and please help me remember, Board, is that, I thought the number was higher at one point than that number. Was that?
That's correct. We've been asked to sharpen our pencils, and so we did. We want this to go on just as much as anybody else.
You'll bring a pencil and eraser with you tonight.
Just so the public's clear on that, where did we start at on this? And
545,000.
545. I couldn't remember what the exact number was.
I couldn't either. Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions, Board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go.
Commissioner Lynn?
So this is a tough agenda item. Very, very tough agenda item. And I'm going to say this before I say what I'm going to say. You're looking at 5 guys up here that are stewards of taxpayer dollars, and that we have to be held accountable to the taxpayers that we represent, right? So we did meet initially. I don't know who all you met with, but I met with you guys once before, and the number was 545. So I sincerely appreciate you guys sharpening your pencil and getting it to where it's at. My problem that I have with this is we revamped our change order process to eliminate situations like this. I have no doubt that you have done work that you're probably owed monies for. My problem is that the work got done before the county knew that the bill was getting astronomically. I say astronomically, I'm not discrediting your work. It's up there very high. So now you're coming to me, this board, asking us for 6 figures for work that you have done in arrears. There was nowhere that I know that by you guys, the timeline getting shortened and you guys maybe doubling down on your labor or doing moving all these things around to try to make this project work, which we have our contract with North Florida for the whole design of it. At no point anywhere did I know that this bill was going to hit $545,000 for us to do that, which has now come down to 3 something. So 330. So I guess my problem is at what point did staff or staff not, or did you guys not? I mean, where was the task order in all this saying, hey, before we do this, we're going to bring in another 20 engineers to help us meet these timelines, and it's going to cost y'all some money to try to meet these deadlines. Does your grant agency understand that? Like, you know, we're already talking about long-term debt. We're talking about dipping into our reserves to make this project work. Where was the conversation to say, hey, by this timeline, these goalposts are moving on us, not because of y'all, but the goalposts are moving because your grant agency. Do they realize, and do y'all realize, that now we're going to have to work faster and quicker, and it's going to cost y'all a lot more money? Like, why didn't that conversation happen before we kicked the ball off?
So I'm trying to decide how to answer that. From the time that we started this process with you guys, and I'm happy to give dates and everything else, from the time that you went out for RFQ to the time you got the grant, to the time that you actually went out to RFQ, to the time that we entered into a contract with you guys, Suwannee County knew more about their grants than we did. So we'll be the first one to say that. We should have pushed and pushed and pushed till we got a copy of those grants, right? So after we started is when we were even notified that you guys had this hard and fast timeline. You all even had a hard time even getting an extension to your initial grant. So we helped you guys with all of that too, so that you could even get your goalpost moved out even further. At what point did we know? It was really the fall. Honestly, to be perfectly blunt, I think this team was trying to get to the fact of you guys getting to keep your $9.6 million, and I don't think, and when I say team, Barge, NFPS, and Suwannee County, I don't think any of us really stopped long enough to address the addition. I know that doesn't work in this situation, but it was weekly calls, it was daily calls. How quick can you go? How quick can you go? And I know that I kept calling them and getting more from them, just like Suwannee County was getting from us. So I'm not saying it's the right way to do things, but you guys had $9.6 million on the line too.
Well, I understand all that, and I get, because I've been involved since this started, so there's plenty of blame to go around everywhere, I think. Was anybody at the county notified that this bill was running up to where it is? Did somebody give approval, is what I'm trying to figure out.
Verbally or written or anything else?
Any way, shape, or form. And I know I'm going to put somebody on the spot here, but and I'm sorry for that, but that's just the way it is.
I'm going to say the county's direction was get the job done. And that's what everybody was trying to do. Tori, didn't
August, September-ish,
that we were looking at additional cost? We didn't know what they were?
Is when we discussed it. Did I give a number? No, because I didn't. I don't think they knew the number. I mean, we were hitting targets. And we talked about a 3-year timeline. We got from a 3-year to an 8-month is where we're at. We got from a single bid package down to multiple bid packages. Multiple, the VL, multiple, they went from 1 to 6 different procurement processes.
I'm aware.
So the question Travis has is valid, and probably I should have thought about that in the course of this. Hey, we're stopping. We're not doing anything else. But we would not have made it, number one. And number two, I probably, just our long-standing working relationship, we just kept going and going and going, and they kept going as partners of ours.
In a normal course of action, Commissioner, we would, like you said, we would stop, hey, we've got a change in scope, let's talk about it, let's negotiate a change order. But that change order, we felt could have took 30, 60 days. We didn't have 30, 60 days to stop. So in good faith, like I said, we kept going to make sure you didn't lose your grant money. If you think about it, I was doing a calculation earlier, the amount of the change order, if we didn't meet that deadline and say you needed a loan for the whole project, this change order is saving you interest on that. So it's not a cost that we're taking away. We're adding value, because if we didn't make the deadline, you'd be looking at a $16 or $17 million loan. You're not. So the change order is a wash or a net positive to the county because of the work that we did.
And look, I'm not trying to be unfair, and I'm not picking, but I got to look at these people out here that elect me.
Well, and they don't know all of the history.
Well, that's
the
why
site itself.
That's why I'm asking the questions.
The environmental assessment and what it produced, and how we went from having 130 acres to only 30 acres to work with. And every time we turned around, the soil conditions. I don't know who selected that piece of property for the wastewater treatment plant. That was not NFPS. Okay? But we went from thinking we had 130 something acres to work with to 32, 29 to 32, whatever it is. The environmental assessment came back, not great. The Every time we turned around throughout this process, something else was happening. Meanwhile, your deadline wasn't extending.
I'm aware, and I'm just,
And the deadline, the initial was, hey, we need it done by this time. And I don't mean just the design, I mean the construction as well. So we need it done by this time we need it done by this time. And then as you guys learned from Department of Commerce, they weren't giving you guys an extension. What everybody thought was going to happen from the county side was not possible. So it's August 31st, and even now, your current team went and begged to make some modifications in that grant agreement so that you can even get to there. Because to a project of this size and only giving, from the time you guys got the grant till the time we started was a year and a half later.
100%.
and that's why I'm just trying to be transparent with the public
Right.
on where we're at, how we got
And it's not
here.
really it's not really a blame thing. I should have went to them and said, hey guys, how much is this going to cost me? How much? And I didn't do that. I don't want to act like I did because we honestly didn't have time. On NFPS's side either, we were completely permitted with force main lines and everything within 2 months. I mean, we just did whatever we had to do because it was asked of us and didn't stop long enough to think about,
Even if
where we're
you
at.
came and asked us, it would have changed.
Yeah.
Because it kept changing. We would have said, it's 100,000, but then another change, we'd have to come back for another change order because the goalpost kept moving, in real time. So to try to estimate what the total effort would be would have been impossible as things kept changing so much.
And it was bigger than just the design. It was the site condition. I mean, I don't know that the site was vetted. I don't know, but it was everything. Nothing worked in y'all's favor from the beginning, and nothing worked in our favor from the design side.
Well, and to be fair, and I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to get looked at bad on it, but the county's got something to bear here too, because I've been involved with it since we got the grant. And we sat on the grant for a while, and it didn't get done. And that's why the timeline got crunched. That's why we're in the position we're in right now. So to be fair to these guys, some of that was our fault.
Because I don't want to state that, but that's the truth.
Yep. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lane.
Look, Ms. Humphreys, I'm not casting blame.
No, and I'm
I
not
knew this was going
I
to
don't
be a
want it to
bumpy
be a blame game
conversation.
either way, we made you guys aware, obviously, and met with you all so that individually, of course, so that you would know. So we wouldn't blindside you by coming in here saying, hey, this is where we're at.
Right.
But no matter what was thrown, and he briefly mentioned reuse, that came up 6 months after we started. 6 months after we started, it was asked by the county to add reuse. So we had to go back and make a change. And it's done now. All of that is done from where we initially were to now, so that you guys, when this process is over, is going to have a plant that can service that area.
Right. So there's no doubt in my mind about
I know.
NFPS and Barge rolling up their sleeves to help us chase the ever-moving goalpost. The burr under my saddle is our change order process, and like Commissioner White said, I think that the county staff, hell, maybe even some of us, are responsible. But I never knew that the amount was getting as high as it was. Like when we first met, and you told me, "Hey, y'all owe us another $500-something thousand," I was like, "Dude, what? For what? $500,000? Like, whoa! Who asked you to do? And what did you do?" Like, I understand a lot of that now, but still, we have a change order process that we put in place before all this happened so that we wouldn't have this happen.
Did you put it in before or as a result of this?
Was it after? After.
It was after.
Okay. Nonetheless, we're here where we are, and I just, how does this not happen again? Like, how do we get so far out over our ski? And I'm not just saying with Norfolk Professional Services.
We now know.
I'm not saying not with you guys. I'm just talking about staff. Like, how do we get here to where we got folks looking at this board for another $300,000 work that they've already done that we didn't know anything about?
I think a big part of that is paying attention to schedules and grants whenever you get them, and moving those efficiently and effectively. What caused this compression is exponential whenever you start working on it. When you start looking at that amount of money, I mean, we're going to be burning $1 million a month almost, burning down this money. So $330,000, that's, you can get that pretty quick in doing a project like this. But the biggest thing is making sure we've got reasonable schedules. The $17 million bid you got was because of the reduced time frame. Those contractors, somebody will give you a bid, but guess what they do? Whatever you're going to charge them for liquidated damages, they just add that into the bid because they know they probably can't get it done, but if you'll give them the bid, they'll take it. So, you've got to have reasonable schedules, you've got to have reasonable construction schedules, reasonable permitting schedules. But, I mean, I was joking with Jimmy today. He called and needed something. He needed it in a hurry. And I was joking with him. I said, is there any other way that you need it over here? Everything is always in a hurry. And that's what we try to do. We try to accommodate you and make those things happen. Mr. Hale was in that conversation. But whenever you put people in that position, it creates other issues that cause problems. From the standpoint of rushing it up, making decisions. When this first came up, I'm pretty sure I talked to most of you guys. Mr. Fleming wasn't on the board then, but I told you, if we get this done, we're going to have to do things out of the normal way that you approach it. I.e., we had to go through and do procurement for the plant. We had to do procurement for electrical. We had to do these things separate, where normally we put all that in the construction contract, and the contractor will be doing that. And we had to make decisions. We had to start doing the design, as Tori mentioned, and then we get partway through the design, and we're having to do that while the environmental investigation is being done, and we find out there's how many gopher tortoises we have out there? 100?
75, 96.
At a minimum of 75.
So that we had to pivot again. So those are the things whenever you've got a short time frame that causes those issues to crop up like that.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bailey, what's the overall engineering price component of this project overall?
So are you doing engineering plus CEI services? plus
Just the design.
Just
currently, it's 2.09 billion. You want to know what the total construction cost is right now?
The winning bid was 13 and some change, wasn't it?
No, well, plus, you guys, all in, y'all are at 22 million. 22,800,579.
The 13 million is just to put the plant, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's just.
You've already ran your force main lines, that was part of this. You've already, that's everything. That's the electrical, that's the MBR plant you bought. That's all of the land clearing you guys have done out there, the fencing, and there's a bunch of stuff that's attached to this project. Not just on the wastewater treatment plant side. I know that's what Barge's arm was for us, but it's more than just that.
Board?
I'd ask the public for comment. I know Mr. Hannah, I saw one get up, want to talk.
Does the public want to speak on this at all? Mr. Hanica?
Just have a couple comments.
Wayne Hanica, 1183 93rd Road. You hire people that are professionals and you expect them to do a professional job for you. In my 50 years in construction, if I walked into the CEO's office and said, I got a $330,000 change order, I probably would have gotten fired. And I'm not sure, I understand that when you shorten schedules, there is a cost to it. But there's absolutely no reason in the world that you should not have had something in writing that said there's additional cost. This is what we think it is at this point. It may get less, it may get more. But it appears like you were never notified. Nothing in writing. I'm sure their contract says that change orders have to be in writing. I feel for anybody that goes in a hole in a project, but I also understand the ramifications of not notifying your client. And I feel like that's what's happened here. Because if you all knew it was coming, you wouldn't all be sitting here going, well, it's a lot of money. And it is an extremely large amount of money that's coming out of these people's pockets. And I would urge your attorney to look at their contract a little further. And I know we all want to be fair, and we all want to keep relationships going, because that's important, especially when you're doing construction. But I would ask that we look at their contract, and if it says notified in writing, I'm sorry, I wouldn't pay that $330,000. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Klepper?
Go ahead, Mr.
Moses Klepper. Well said, Mr. Hanica, and that don't happen often in this room. But I'm blue collar, and you're supposed to pay the working man. On a $22 million project, I mean, by industry standard, there's millions of dollars in net profit on that job. I know at least one individual standing behind me has probably netted tens of millions of dollars out of this county. The very first project I ever bidded, I underbid, and I had to eat it. The guys working with me, I had to pay them more than I was making. You know, I made less than minimum wage on that contract. And I went on to make enough to retire on in a short period of time because I did the right thing. What I said, when I said, how I said, and for what I said I was going to do it for. One of the things I read in here, and it may be true, it talked about gophers. And I mean, I don't think you can probably couldn't find a 5-acre tract in Suwannee County that don't have gophers on it. So anybody that does any construction in this county should expect gophers. I read in here where there's a pre-purchase of 3 major equipment packages, and I sincerely would like to know what would happen. That was on page 118 of the agenda packet today. If those equipment packages was purchased, and when it says major on a $22 million project, I'm thinking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is that the Suwannee County taxpayers' property, or is that the individuals who have used them to accomplish this task? The $330,000 on the $13 million is approximately 2.5% of that, and on the 445, that would have been just over 4%. Well, I know for 100% fact, these two companies are net profiting much more than 4%, double, triple, quadruple, or more. I too, as my earlier statement, people need to be paid for their efforts, and not necessarily wanting to point out any necessary blame other than to prevent us and them from making similar mistakes in the future. But taxpayers bleed all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I want
Mr. Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey, for not bailing me out, but I wasn't here during that time. I did attend some meetings, but I am not, how much time, and it's probably gonna go to the attorney again. I would push for this because I know you said that you had stopped for 12 months and now it's August 26th, so you kind of crunch for time right now.
I'm not sure if I understand the question, Mr. Fleming.
The time, you said it was 36 months originally.
Yeah, when our agreement, we had a schedule in there, and we provided the county a 36-month schedule from starting design to completion of construction. We started work last year, about the first of the year, end of 24, first of 25. A few months after we got started, then the county got informed by the grant agency, hey, we got to have this done by the end of 26. So we think, all right, we just got to cut 12 months off, which was still a problem, but we figured we could do some things a little bit differently and did our best to try to accommodate that. And then it was, a month or two later after that, they said, the state says we got to have our work done by the end of December. The county needs to have their work by August. So now we had, 18, 20 months, we had to go from starting of design all the way through permitting, all the way through construction.
That's what I was saying, not maybe you didn't catch what I was saying.
Yeah.
So now you got 5 more months now to August of 26 this year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But what the county went back to the funding agency, and the original requirement, we had to be done, we had to be complete. Now they're telling us we just got to have the money spent by the end of August. So the construction is going to go past that time frame now.
Right.
And that's what allowed the county to get the reduced price. The contractors felt like they could do it with a reasonable construction schedule and not be impacted by that, and then have to face liquidated damages.
Yes, I see what you're talking about, but I wanted to be caught up to speed on, what was really going on with the negotiations and everything, and me just coming on a month ago, and I'm hearing this tonight.
Right. So what we did in all of that, the county pre-purchased the plant. That's in manufacturing now. The delivery date we think is April. On that, the county has pre-purchased the electrical package because those are long lead items. The county did the pre-purchase on the wastewater plant last, so it's over a year ago. So if we'd have waited and had that in the contractor's package, it would have been a problem. So those are some things that we had to get creative and do differently than what you typically do and what's normally anticipated in doing a project like this. You would have one set of plans, you would have one set of bid documents. You go out to bid, you review the bids and assign it to the contractor. He has to procure everything and then execute all the work.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morrison, what are we legally responsible for here?
Yes, sir. So, to Mr. Haneke's point, just to give a little bit of background in terms of time spent on this, y'all may recall I was running around at the Christmas party giving you guys highlighted copies of the contract, going through it with y'all, pulling everybody aside, getting ready for those meetings. So we've reviewed the contract. The contract is pretty clear in terms of the requirements. Change order should be in writing. That said, there is such a thing as quantum merit. So quantum merit is a legal theory which says that if a party conveys a benefit and you accept it, then you're going to have to pay for it. And that does apply to governments. So where this gets real, I believe the legal term is icky, is we have a situation where the county and the contractor, not building, but in this context, NFPS is the contractor, the county was asking for things to change. The contractor was accommodating it. We accepted plans that anticipated that change. And I'm not trying to be on a soapbox. The problem that happened is at no point in time did NFPS say, well, if you make that change, it's going to cost you this, or we need to address that. And the county never said, if you make that change, how much is that going to cost us? And that's, there's your problem. In terms of if this were going to end up in a lawsuit of us versus them, because the work was performed and because the amount they're asking for is less than the value they're putting on it, there would be, I think, a valid quantum merit claim. My concern is that our policies are very clear that change orders, and this is not a new policy about change orders having to be done ahead of time. That's been the policy forever. We cannot be in a situation where the county's accepting a benefit, especially if we're the ones asking for the benefit, and nobody's communicating it to the county commissioners. And I'm not saying anything that people don't know. So my biggest, just while I'm hearing this and I'm thinking out loud, is how do you prevent this from happening again? That's my bigger concern, quite candidly. But anyhow, if you're asking what my theory on legal liability is, I think for their claim of the $330,000. And then also one other concern is practical, and with full compliment to the professionalism at the folks at North Florida and the folks at Barge, this contract is ongoing in terms of their responsibilities. And I'm sure if you guys said no, they wouldn't start dragging their feet and things wouldn't become real hard on the ongoing building of this project that's costing $21 million. But let's say somebody of a lesser character quality you were dealing with and that happened, I think that would be a foreseeable problem. Just being real practical for a moment. I'm sure that would be a concern in terms of how long could it cost you long term for this sort of thing. And I don't like being out on a plank, but those are just me thinking out loud in terms of costs that the county could face given the situation. I know that's clear as mud.
Mr. Chairman. Well, Mr. Morrison, and maybe Mr. Furry, our policy has always been change orders come to the board or to staff prior to the work being done.
Absolutely. It's in the contract.
So I heard what you said, but the policy has always been before you do work in regards to the changing of a contract, a change order, that change order must be approved prior to the work being done. So,
I'm not saying that there's not a policy that applies, and I'm not telling you that we couldn't be successful on making that contractual defense to a lawsuit, if that's what you're asking. But there's also case law which says that the idea of quantum merit does apply to governmental entities if they knowingly accept a benefit. And here, due to moving goalposts, consolidated timeline, whatever reason you want to give it, I don't think there's a legitimate argument that the county didn't knowingly accept the benefit of the additional work that they did. Because we were the ones telling them to do it and they were saying okay, when that should have come before the board.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hill?
Well, I'll wait. Commissioner Lane, are you done?
I'm good.
It's just a question. I mean, you guys hear what our public is saying. You hear the conversations we're having as a board. And I can appreciate, I remember the 500-something thousand where we're at, but is that number there negotiable at all? Lower for us to come to our constituents and
So, on behalf of NFPS and Barge, I would have to defer that to Barge because this is what they've came to us with and throughout the course of this. And I think it's something that they would have to.
Can I make a suggestion here? You needed $545,000 to begin with. I feel like the county's some responsible, even though y'all should have come with a change order and said, hey, look, this is gonna cost you a lot more money. That should have been done. And by listening to the attorney, we have some responsibility here too. So my thought is we're 50% wrong, you're 50% wrong. The 545 gets cut in half to 275.
I had 250, but okay.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I had 115. Half of 330.
Chairman, I appreciate the offer. That's something I'll have to go back and talk to our folks internally. Appreciate the offer.
That's just the way I see it. That's just
And I
me.
appreciate both are at fault here. I mean, I really do. This project definitely kept giving, and I mean the headaches and the problems. So I appreciate that as well.
So if I guess we got a couple options here. We can just say no, or we can let them go back and see if that offer stands, or we can go with your offer, Mr. Land, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
If they're going to go back, why don't we table the motion, table the agenda item for now, and to be brought back at when next notified by North Florida?
That good with everybody? I just we need a motion to do that?
Yes, sir, a motion to
I need a
table.
motion to table this agenda item.
Commissioner
Clement, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, that's what I originally wanted to say. If we can go back and I can gather some information, get with Mr. Bailey.
Yeah,
Or-
I'm happy to provide you whatever you need.
Okay. So you need a motion?
Motion to table this agenda item and bring it back at I guess I'm assuming the next meeting?
I would.
Would we be good? Were y'all good with that?
That's the first,
April 7.
April 7th.
I think so, yeah.
Does that go with you? Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I offer motion that we table this.
Motion by Commissioner Fleming.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Item number 14, discuss with possible board action award and authorization of chairman to execute the contract for 2026-03 ITB general contractor for Catalyst Wastewater Treatment Plant to Music Construction pending county attorney review. Mr. Furry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as we've discussed in the past, we do need to execute this contract very soon so they can get started to meet that deadline of August 31st. We did discuss about lines of credit, reserves, loans, different options. So I guess that would be the ultimate discussion here tonight is how do you want to do that? There was some talk about some bonds also that Mr. Morrison may want to add to during the discussion, but yeah, just looking for a motion to award this contract tonight, and if you want to discuss how we tie it to a funding source, then we need to have that discussion.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to go ahead and address the bond issue.
Yes, please, sir.
So as I told you guys at the last meeting, a good friend of mine at law school is a bonding attorney. His name is Kareem Spratling, S-P-R-A-T-L-I-N-G. This is our 20-year anniversary from graduating from law school. And so in that 20 years, Kareem has gone from beginning at Bryant Miller Olive, which is the biggest bonding law firm in Florida, one of the biggest ones in the country. He's now the managing shareholder of their Tampa office, which is their biggest office. So when I said I know a guy who does bonding, I don't know a guy, I know the guy. I had a long conversation with him about what would this need to look like. Is this something where a bond situation would be appropriate? The first thing that Mr. Spratling told me is bonding doesn't make any sense at all unless you're spending $10 million or more in terms of economic sense. I told them that it's a $20+ million project, so that shouldn't be a problem. Even though that's not our shortfall, we can take more out in the bond. In terms of how much it's going to cost, he confirmed the 6-figure bonding attorney fee that I talked with you all about. But I think the bigger question that you all have is how would bonding work in our situation? So the way it would work is you would retain bonding counsel. And you don't need to go out to an RFQ for counsel. I'd recommend Mr. Spratling. And basically, a bond is going to be treated just like a creditor. So in the same way you can have people with a good credit score and a bad credit score, you can have governmental entities with the functional equivalent of good credit scores and bad credit scores. There are some governmental entities where they have lots of things that have gone out to bond, and they're highly leveraged. That's one situation. We are on the polar opposite situation because when I spoke with Mr. Furry, in nobody's living memory in government has Suwannee County taken out a bond, right? So we are the exact opposite. We're about as high a credit rating as you could get in terms of getting a bond, especially for what is in the grand scheme of things, a very low amount of money relative to what they're used to dealing with, billions with a B. In terms of, because we're at that level of credit, and again, I'm paraphrasing and using a shorthand here. That's not how Mr. Spratling would describe it, would say it to a judge, but functionally that's how that works. Because we're at that level of credit, we will probably not have to go through what occurs at a higher credit risk, which is where you have to go forward, register with the Securities and Exchange Commission, offer it as investments to investors, and you end up getting in arguments about interest rates with investors to see where it's going to go. Because we're such a low credit risk, we can probably end up treating this functionally like a very low interest bank loan, where it actually would be a bank that would loan us the money on the bond. And he said it realistically could be a bond amount, an interest rate as low as 1%. So now, when I heard him say that, my response was, well, then you borrow as much as you can. That's less than inflation. To which he said, no, you can't do that because, as a government, you can't be in the business of making money. So all of that, then you have to register with the SEC and do all kinds of stuff to prevent that sort of thing from happening. The other thing that he said that would happen is after you retain bonding counsel, and I'm using my shorthand for it, there's a municipal bonds ombudsman who is hired to act on behalf of the county, and this is where you get the lower interest rate, whose job it is to shop the bonding opportunity to investors and to get that lowest interest rate possible. And so Mr. Spratling would be, as the bonding attorney who's helping us with that, would be the person who selects that person, and it's that person's job to ultimately come back to the board and say, here's the various bond options that are available to you, here's what I would recommend, here's the interest rates. And because we're such in such a good credit position, for lack of a better phrase, it's highly likely we would be able to, like I said, be able to get that 1% number. We also could negotiate it so that we could prepay on the amount, because we're going to have to borrow, like you said, $10 million or more for it to make any economic sense. And so as the grant money comes back, we could prepay that all as principal to lower that amount immediately. So that way, that money's we wouldn't have to just sit on that money and make payments. We could prepay it as quickly as possible. That's a common term that would get negotiated into it. Given that situation, I spoke with Mr. Furry, and he was of the, there's some options before you guys which are independent of this in terms of how you guys would want to use that opportunity. Do you want to use it just for this? Do you want to use it for a larger catalyst site funding option? That sort of thing is available to you. But anyhow, it was a very constructive conversation. I think that it's something that legitimately should be looked forward to. In terms of paying those attorney's fees and for the ombudsman, you wouldn't pay them on the front end, but as those bonding funds come in, they would get paid. So as that money comes in from the investor, which in this case would usually be a bank, because we're such a good credit, such a good credit situation, that's when those individuals will get paid. So initially, the county ought not be out any money. It may be a relatively small retainer, but I don't think it'll be any in terms of hiring bond counsel and that ombudsman. So bonding, given our situation, Mr. Spratling was highly encouraged that we could get very favorable terms. And that's a heck of a lot better than the 3.5% or 4% that we're getting on our CD.
Okay. Board, is there any certain way you want to go here?
What do we need?
Do you need a decision? I guess you, in order to award this contract, though, you've got to have.
This can be done two ways, Mr. Chairman. So the board can go ahead and approve this contract, and we can say, for the time being, that $3.5 million that's sitting in the as a reserve or as the loan on the CD, that we're going to use for it, and we'll reserve however much we need left over in our general reserve fund. That's the money for it right now. And then we can always revisit that, and in the meantime, we can go move forward with trying to obtain bonds. So we can still move forward with hiring the project today with the understanding we're going to move forward with trying to secure a better funding source through the bonds.
So do we know what that figure is for that attorney? I mean, will he give us an amount?
Yes.
Amount?
So here's what needs to happen. It needs to be a conversation with more detail than I can give. Because right now it's all hypotheticals. And again, one of the things that Mr. Spratling told me, and I think this is probably true, and I think Mr. Furry and I talked about it the other day, if this is an option the board chooses to pursue, we may want to look a little bigger in terms of how much we want to borrow and use it to have a catalyst site, some money available for catalyst site projects. And I'm not telling you what to do, and I really think what probably ought to happen, and my recommendation to the board would be, is to go ahead and authorize the hiring of Mr. Spratling as bond counsel, so that way he can come in and sit down and talk with Mr. Furry, talk with Mr. Norris, sit down and get an idea as to what are we looking at on a macro scale, and then, you know, it's kind of like when I get brought in for a client on something I'm specialized in, I want to find out where you want to end up, and then let's work backwards from there. And I think he needs to be brought in to give you guys a better, I mean, I can give you guys the 100,000 foot view, but he's the granular guy.
But do you have to pay him and authorize that full amount to get that information?
No, and I'm telling you, you can go ahead and say, listen, Kareem told me the price for him getting involved, because he'll be handling it, not one of his other guys. Is I got to sit next to him at the homecoming game, so fine. There won't be. I'm quite confident if he were to come in and say, listen, this isn't going to work for whatever reason, I'm 99% sure. I mean, without that, there would be no attorney's fee on that. It would be a conversation that he has with a few people. It's like, yeah, this isn't a good situation. I'm quite confident that's not going to happen based upon what Mr. Spratling and I discussed. But I would think, but you do need to go ahead and authorize to hire him to move forward with that.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hale.
And I think I'm following everything we're talking about here, but I think the first order of business is number 14, just to approve.
Approve, the bond is independent.
That's right.
But I know that you guys wanted to have an idea of, we don't want to tie up our reserves, and we certainly don't want to pay 4.5%
right
on the $3.5 million.
So I guess the question for the board here is
to approve the contract.
To approve number 14, to approve the contract, knowing that we have some idea of where funding may come from. Or do we have to, and this is to council, or do we have to go ahead and name that, as you said, out of those reserves in that general fund?
What I would recommend, we can go ahead and just say yes right now, and just, we've approved it. And there's no law that says you have to say where the money's going to come from. So we can just say, yes, we approve. That you can do that now. And just authorize the hiring of bond counsel. And if that doesn't work out, we can come back after the fact and say, well, then let's dedicate the funds this way. But just so that way you guys can go to sleep knowing it's not an unknown as to where the funding is going to come from.
So,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Lamb, I was just going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve this, so if you need to go ahead and speak.
It doesn't matter. I was just going to make the suggestion to say, hey, kind of like we talked about at the last board meeting, we've identified the money, reserves, credit line for short term. I think we all agree, long term, that's not the best route to take. Mr. Morrison has found us probably a better option. My question for Mr. Morrison was, it's a $23 million project roughly in its entirety. We have how much in grants in its entirety?
15 million.
15. So we are, whatever that math is, short.
$8.3 million.
$8.3 million short. So I think that if we went out and said, hey, we want to look at, I don't know, $12, $15 million bond, north of 10, so we can do any other improvements. And I'm assuming maybe it's, you don't have to take possession of all the money at one time. You take it kind of as you need it. You approve.
No, sir.
You take it all at one time?
That's my understanding.
So my only problem would be is if we take 15 and we got to take possession of the money, we better identify a use, or else why we're going to take the money if we don't know what we're going to use it for, because we're going to be paying, even if it's 1%, praise Jesus for the 1%. But, if I don't know what I'm going to do for I don't or spend it on, I don't want to pay interest.
And that's why I said what really needs to happen is y'all need to authorize hiring Mr. Spratling so he can have a sit-down with the players.
And Mr. Spratling does not come under hiring him to determine if this is a good fit for us or not. You've guaranteed me no fee.
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
99.9%. How about this? I don't think.
Is there any of that chorus,
Or would
whatever
it be
you
just a
talked about?
consultation?
Yeah, it's going to be initially just a consultation. It's going to work or not. But really what the conversation is going to turn into is what's a really good scope for this? Do we want to do more than just the wastewater?
So I guess here's my thing. Just so I can get it off my plate here and circle this number 14, we need to go ahead and approve 14.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, that's fine.
We can't back up at this point.
No.
We've put in force mains, we've put in lines, we've done we went from 17 to 13. They've done a bunch of work for us, North Florida Barge, whatnot. We're halfway there. Like we can't back up from it now.
I agree with that, and I don't know the whole scope of the work, and it can be discussed another time, but maybe that extra money, I think we cut some of that capacity down on what it would hold, so we could expand on that. Maybe we go ahead and finish the project with it. I don't know. Like you say, Commissioner Land, have it identified.
Well, I think there's some other projects here. You got the 137 wastewater plant that was never built big enough to start with, so I think you've got some there too that could be dealt with. I would love to get grant money to do it, but I don't know that that's going to happen, and maybe that comes up later on. But for right now, I just need a motion to approve this contract with Music Construction for $13,398,888.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Lamb. Second by Commissioner Mobley. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
So I don't have a problem making the motion for our attorney to reach out to the bond man and have a meeting with him and bring that information back to us on the grounds. And I definitely, whatever amount, I guess we need to let him. Do we need to let Jason bring something back identifying, like you're saying, Franklin, some of those?
That would be what I would think. Me and Mr. Norris will talk. Other department heads on that project out of the Catalyst site. We need to discuss the utility authority. What does that look like when they take over assets? Can something taken out with a bond, does that transfer like a loan might? There'll be some other questions, but if you'll allow staff and the attorney to have a consultation, get some more information, we would bring it back to the board before we put him under contract of any sort. So I think just a motion to have us do the consultation with the bonding agent and have discussions with staff to bring you back some projects. There's a stormwater pond that needs to be built out there. There's other water lines that need to go along 90, under 90. There's other businesses that are out there on the horizon there's plenty of, there's a water tower, there's the wastewater plant at 137. There's plenty of infrastructure projects that we could add to this bonding project. And we can bring that back to you after discussion with him to see if that does make a fit.
Correct.
Do I have a motion for staff to consult with Mr. Spratling on a bond issue?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Does that finish that? Additional agenda items. Mr. Furry, I think you got.
We do. We have two. One that made the, I guess, was sent out, and then one that we just brought today. But they both revolve around electricity or the power for projects. There's a, for the wastewater treatment plant and the lift stations out at the Catalyst site, Suwannee Valley Electric, they are bringing power out there, and we need to go ahead and pay this invoice, $75,800, for them to bring power out there to the Catalyst site for these projects. In order for them to start their construction process, it is going to take some time, so they need to get going, and this will start the clock, so to speak, so that they can get to work.
Is that the total amount for what they've got to do?
Labor and materials, yes, sir.
That's all in.
Yes, sir. My understanding.
I guess you can't do nothing without power, can you?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Land to approve the Suwannee Valley Electric invoice. Second by Commissioner Mobley. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other item is very similar in nature. It's from FP&L. It is to bring permanent power to the still named COVID building. We are working on some alternative names, but yeah, that's to bring power over there to that building. Same thing, $14,826.89 for them to construct. They have to cross, they cannot use the power closest off of 8th Street. They got to construct from across Goldkist and bring it down and around the front of the building to the back, but same scenario. So we can start the clock. That one's probably more time sensitive than the wastewater treatment plant, but we need to get, oh, Mandy told me I probably forgot, to approve the item and to process and release the funds so that we can go ahead and
On
get a
this
check
one?
cut. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hill.
is that all underground? Is that what you were saying?
It will be. It'll come across the street, I believe, overhead, but then it'll be underground. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Do I have a motion to approve
For a motion.
and to
Release the funds.
release the funds for Florida Power in the amount of $14,826.89?
So moved, sir.
Motion by Commissioner Hale.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to bring up something else, but release the funds brought it to my attention. If I can go back to my agenda spot for just a moment, I apologize to the board. If the board will recall, we deposited a total of about $70,000 with my law firm to be used as escrow funds for right-of-way projects. That's worked exactly like it's supposed to. It's also allowed, for example, when Chairman Land wanted to put that land under contract, rather than have to wait for the board to have a meeting to authorize the funds to be released, I was able to just stroke a check out of those funds. I've accounted for those. I've given copies of my trust account to Keith as well as to Mr. Furry, just to show him how all of those monies have been spent. There's no issues. But I'm down to about $13,000 because I just had to cut a check last week. So I'd ask for another $50,000 to be put back into my trust fund to be used for county right-of-way projects or land projects as they become necessary, and authorize Keith to issue that check to my trust account.
Can I get a motion to authorize another $50,000 to the attorney?
Is that from the general?
Is that from general revenues where that comes from?
Yeah, because it's not part of legal. It's money that's available for that. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, off the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fleming.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. You have 50 grand.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Attorney. Is that all the business?
Yes, sir. That's all the additional items.
Administrators' comments and information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief few comments. Reminder about the Water Management District meeting this Thursday out at the IFAS farm from 6 to 8. I'm sure there'll be a large crowd. Friday, the fair opens Friday evening. I'm sure there'll be a ribbon cutting. I'm not sure what time. I doubt noon. 5:30. Okay. If you guys can make that. We did open the livestock building. Bids came back. Of course, not of course, but they are a little bit higher than what we have in the budget. We kind of figured that. They came in at 2.9. That's for, I think we have 1.3 right now. So that was for the total building. We do have it in phases, so we can at least do the first phase with the money that we do have, and then we can secure funding hopefully next legislative session. We did it. We have 8 applicants so far for the EM director job, so we'll be setting up some interviews hopefully next week for that and get that process started. My last comment about the North Florida and the barge and the change order, just briefly, somebody mentioned relationships, and a lot of it is relationships are very important, and it goes both ways, and they have been good partners. It is an unfortunate situation. The county did drag their feet. We do have some responsibility. I appreciate you guys recognizing that and also recognizing they did do some work. And I believe it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's a good idea to table in your suggestion of an offer. Somewhere in there is it appropriate. But they have done everything that we've asked to move this project forward. And we both could learn lessons. I believe somebody had asked, how does this not happen in the future? And I think part of that, the answer to that is we are in the middle of hiring a interview process right now for the grant and project manager position. So, I think initially I was brought over here from Parks to kind of get some of those projects started, and this position will continue that, and I think we'll be more hands-on in the early stages once we acquire a grant from the very beginning, and that communication with the state and building on that relationship with the state and asking questions and what can we do, what are our challenges. So I think we'll head that off early on. Hard lesson to learn, but I do appreciate them on their behalf and yours as well, being in a tough situation. So I do think we can work to an arrangement, but just want to acknowledge the relationship. They have continued to work, and they do a good job, and they typically do go above and beyond what we ask, or what Mr. Norris asked anyway. So that's all I have. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Which one did we start on last week? Was it you, Mr. Fleming, first? I think so. We'll start with Commissioner Landon.
I don't have much. I do want to recognize, I think tomorrow is the infamous Mr. Norris's birthday.
Happy birthday, old man.
I do believe. I don't know if he's 60.
You want to sing happy birthday to him?
60. I don't know if he's 68 or 21, but he's a day older tomorrow, or a year older tomorrow.
He's older than me, I know that.
We got the Suwannee County Fair. I don't know if she's still here or not. Suwannee County Fair opens Friday, ribbon cutting at 5:30. I think we just talked about that. That's about all I got. Livestock show and sale coming up. Make sure you bring your checkbook and show up for that. That's all I got.
And did everybody get a copy of this?
I did. Yes, sir.
Yep. Is that it, Commissioner Lynn?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Mobley?
Got a whole lot. Just keep the Murray family in your prayers.
Yes.
Miss Shirley had passed away, and the Morris family. Other than that, good seeing y'all.
Commissioner Fleming?
It's always good to see faces out there and concerned citizens. I've been saying this for some time, and I really mean that. It's good that community come out and see what's going on in city, county government. So I'm glad to see faces out there. It's my third meeting back, and see some faces, familiar faces out there. Glad to see you. I'm glad to have you. Thank you.
Commissioner Hill?
Yep. No, just thank everybody for coming. Appreciate our staff and kind of what we were saying. There's lots of peaks and valleys to what we do up here, but I appreciate the public speaking up and helping us make our decisions, but I do appreciate the relationships and the partnerships that we have. Other than that, I thought I went to the Savannah Banana game. I thought I seen our attorney there, but maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Didn't quite make it through the first inning.
So, yeah,
There's definitely a story behind that one.
With that, I'll leave it with that then.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, just one more announcement. I was reminded Suwannee Valley Electric is hosting hurricane preparedness meeting in the morning at 8:30 if anybody wants to attend or can attend.
Thank you, sir. I'll just keep it brief. I like for things to run smooth. Unfortunately, sometimes it don't, and we get into positions like we're in here with this change order. But I appreciate what they did for us. I mean, it really was a time crunch thing, and I'm not justifying what they charged and nobody knew about it. But in fairness, they did do a lot of work for us in a very expedited time frame. And like I said, the county does bear some of that responsibility as well. There was some things that went on there that we were responsible for as well. So that's why I came to the 50-50 conclusion. And moving forward, though, and it's been a problem since I've been a commissioner as far as change orders go. And I do hope, and I will say it, that this be the last change order we have to sit here and have these discussions about. We're going to follow how it's supposed to be done, and it needs to be done the correct way. And I don't want to be the one to sit here and have to explain to you all why we're having to pay all this extra money. So from now on, I see it, we've got a policy for that, and it needs to be followed, and it will be followed, or we just won't be paying the bill from here on out. So with that, appreciate all of you coming. We really do try to do a good job, and we try to be honest and as open as we can about it. So that's the way it should be. So that I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land. Second by Commissioner Molly. All in favor, aye?
Aye. Thank you.
I got it.